I remember the way my mother's voice cracked, not from guilt, but from disdain. "You've always wasted money on meaningless things," she spat. "We need that money to secure your brother's future." Her words weren't a confession, they were a declaration. And I couldn't stop smiling, because the house they thought they'd sold wasn't mine to lose. The hook of betrayal. It started with a phone call from the county clerk. A courtesy notice, nothing unusual, except it said my lake house had been transferred, sold, closed, gone. I laughed at first. Impossible. I'd never signed anything. 10 years of sweat, overtime shifts, and calculated investments built that house brick by brick. I had the deed framed in my office like a war medal. Still, when I drove down to the lakeside property, the strangers on the porch weren't trespassers. They were homeowners, with documents proving it. My stomach didn't drop. It hardened. Backstory: the roots of trust. I used to trust my parents. I'm the eldest, born to carry burdens, born to sacrifice. They raised me on duty, on the idea that family comes before self. When I was 16, I gave up college funds so my younger brother could attend a private school. "He has potential," my mother said. "You'll understand one day." I did. I understood perfectly. I was their fallback, their silent investor, their insurance policy. Even as an adult, I tried to prove myself. The house by the lake wasn't just a retreat. It was proof I could create something permanent, something untouchable. Or so I thought. Discovery of the fraud. At the courthouse, I asked for copies of the transfer documents. They handed me a folder. Inside, a forged power of attorney with my name scrawled in ink that wasn't mine. No hesitation, no shame. My mother had signed it. My father had notarized it. They sold my sanctuary for $690,000 as if it were theirs to give away. When I confronted her, she didn't flinch. "You'll recover," she said flatly, "but your brother won't. He needs stability, not your vanity projects." That was the moment my smile returned. Cold, controlled, deadly. Because I had been waiting for this kind of betrayal, and I had planned for it. Shift in mindset, the silent plan. I never kept my real fortune in that house. It was a decoy, an expensive, well-dressed pawn. The true asset was the trust fund I had built in parallel, under a shell company my parents didn't even know existed. Every renovation, every contractor, every upgrade on that lake house was billed through that company. On paper, the house wasn't mine. I had transferred ownership years ago, to myself, under a corporate veil. So when my parents forged my signature, they hadn't sold my house, they had sold air. And the buyer? A friend of mine, an investor I'd lined up months ago when I first noticed inconsistencies in my parents' behavior. Odd questions about property titles, casual remarks about emergency funds. I smelled the betrayal before it happened. I just let them walk into the trap. Execution of revenge. Step 1 was silence. I let them think they had succeeded. I even congratulated my brother on his secured future. He smiled like a prince handed a kingdom. Step 2, my attorney filed fraud charges. Quietly, efficiently. The forged power of attorney was enough to dismantle their credibility in court. Step 3, my investor resold the house back to my company for a fraction of the original price. On paper, the new owners made a loss. In reality, they were compensated by me privately. Step 4, the money trail. My parents had already spent a chunk of the $690,000. Tuition deposits, debt clearances, a down payment on a bigger house for themselves. None of it was protected. When the fraud case hit, every dollar was clawed back. Accounts frozen, assets seized. I watched them unravel, piece by piece, not with rage, but with clinical detachment. The climax, confrontation. The last time we sat across from each other was in the courthouse lobby. My mother's face was pale, her pride finally cracking. "You set us up," she whispered. "No," I corrected calmly. "You set yourselves up. I just gave you the rope." My father avoided my eyes. My brother glared, too naive to see he was just a pawn in their scheme. "You could have helped us," my mother hissed. "I did," I said, standing. "I helped you see exactly who you are." The bailiff called our case. I didn't look back. Resolution, the reflection. They lost everything: money, reputation, trust. The court stripped them bare. Me? I still had my lake house, my sanctuary, my proof of patience. Sometimes I sit on the dock at sunset, the water burning gold beneath the horizon. I think about that forged signature, about my mother's cold declaration that my dreams were meaningless. Meaningless. And yet here I am, with everything intact, while their future is nothing but ashes. Revenge doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just smiles, quiet, patient, inevitable. I never signed anything, and